Yo, what is good, everybody? It's Karsten Kroening, back at it again with another pickups and favorites video. If you don't know this series, this is the series where I show my recent clothing pickups that I've really been enjoying, my favorite books, movies, TV shows, music, anything that I've been consuming lately that has been fulfilling and interesting that I want to share with you. The first piece that I actually picked up quite a while ago, but I've really been enjoying, is this Veilance field jacket. Arcteryx Veilance is one of my favorite brands, and sort of their flagship staple item is their field jacket. They have one that comes with an insulation and one that's just a shell. I picked up this one used that is just the shell. What I love about it is that it's super sleek. There's a sense of futuristic technical design to it. Being based off of a military field jacket, they've reinterpreted that. It has the collar with the zip that you can undo to take out the hood. Just a super cool rain jacket that I've really been enjoying. The next piece that I have been wearing the most this month is this, which is the Ramiel Parka that I designed under my own clothing label. If you didn't know, I'm also a clothing designer. I'm just releasing my first debut collection currently, and probably my favorite piece that I've ever designed is this parka. This parka is based off of the NB2 Arctic winter jackets that were designed in the 40s and 50s for the US military. So it has the NB2 hood without the fur, and it has this giant zipper in the middle so that it can be split. And once the jacket is zipped all the way up, it has this sort of scuba effect for the hood. I really sort of love the silhouette and the way that it just sort of makes the body look very brooding and cool. We did our version of this in a very heavy, soft cotton. It has these beautiful hidden zippers for on the chest that are aligned with the seam. And then it has these giant cargo pockets at the waist, as well as it has the mecha angelic patterning on the back, as most of the pieces I designed sort of have this patterning that's supposed to mimic the mecha angels from Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's also a down jacket, so it'll keep you super warm in the winter. I have just been wearing it all the time. It's probably my favorite jacket, and it's probably my favorite piece that I've made yet. If you're interested in this piece, it's just been released now at karstenkroening.com. The link is in the bio. Go check it out. I also just got back from Los Angeles. I spent my birthday down there, and I did a little birthday shopping while I was down there. And one of the coolest pieces that I picked up is this 1990s Godflesh Tee. This Godflesh Tee I picked up from Fernando at Unsound. It's in this beautiful, very faded gray, and it has the Godflesh Songs of Love and Hate album cover on it. Songs of Love and Hate is one of my favorite albums by Godflesh, and the cover features this above ground cemetery in the foreground, and in the background it's these factories which are blowing out smoke. The photo up for this album was actually taken in Cancer Alley, which is the area just north of New Orleans. And earlier this year, I actually went there and saw this area. And ever since then, I've wanted to pick up a vintage version of this tee. Just a really cool piece. Again, shout out to Fernando from Unsound for hooking me up with it. The next piece that I was super hyped to get while I was in LA is actually from Twofold. And it is this vintage Sleep Jerusalem tee. It's in this beautiful forest green colorway, and Sleep is like a sludge doom metal band, but Sleep's album Jerusalem is an alternative version of their most popular project, Dope Smoker. It has some slightly different mixing and sounds and arrangements than Dope Smoker, but it is basically the same album. And this tee features the graphic from the Jerusalem album that features the Hebrew priest bowing down in the temple, praying to like the fire of God. Shout out to the Twofold team for hooking me up with this. The next piece was actually gifted to me from Keezy. If you don't know who Keezy is, he's an amazing fashion YouTuber from the Bay Area who, like me, also has their own clothing brand, and his clothing brand is called Haven Court. And he sent me a pair of these Genesis boots. The Genesis boots are these beautiful leather combat boots, I want to say, that are somewhat a hybrid of, I think, a combat boot as well as a Tim. They're super comfortable. They have some good padding to them as well. And they have this easy zipper so that you're able to slip into it really easily. It's almost again like this more elevated or sophisticated take on a Tim. Super, super grateful for bro for hooking me up with these. He also sent me a few other items from Haven Court, including this tactical vest, which is made out of this padded material and has this nice boxy feel to it, as well as this switch vest, which is like a tactical vest that comes with holsters, things for holding magazines. Really cool sort of military inspired piece. I was then also given a piece from Machus. If you don't know what Machus is, it's a retailer down in Portland that sells a lot of cool brands like Rick Owens, Arcteryx, Veilance, but then they also have their really cool in-house label, and they gave me this really cool boxed, faded, distressed tee, which I have been rocking a lot. It's got a super beautiful fade to it, really great fit, and one of the things I love about Machus is that they really make their own in-house items towards the sensibilities of cooler darkwear brands like Veilance or Rick Owens, so it goes well with whatever else they offer. It's a super great essential or basic that I have really, really enjoyed. I also have a few more metal tees that I wanted to show that I've actually been collecting over a pretty long period of time. I didn't want to show them until I was able to collect them all, but they are from the band Full of Hell and their Trumpeting Ecstasy tour. If you're unfamiliar with the band Full of Hell, they're sort of a grindcore metal band, and their album Trumpeting Ecstasy is just one of my favorite albums of all time. I basically listen to it every time I go to the gym. The album came out in 2017 and they went on tour slightly after, and just the shirts from the Trumpeting Ecstasy tour I think are immaculate. So it's taken me a while, but I've hunted down I think all of the shirts from that tour. First is the most basic. It is this long sleeve in white. It says Full of Hell and has the Trumpeting Ecstasy album artwork on it, which is sort of this nun with fire shooting out of her face. And then it has sleeve hits that say Trumpeting Ecstasy on one side. But another one of the tour ones they came out with on tour is this one, which is in pink, and it features the Pieta on it. If you don't know what the Pieta is, it is one of the sculptures that are in the Vatican that has Mary holding the body of Christ. And this one, of course, says Full of Hell, features the Pieta, which is one of my favorite works of art of all time. Bright pink sleeve hits, which say Full of Hell on each side. One that I was able to pick up, and probably my favorite of the bunch, is this one, which is in the light blue colorway. This Full of Hell t-shirt features this king figure with all of these ominous looking figures in the background, and then has the Full of Hell sleeve hits on one side and the Trumpeting Ecstasy sleeve hits on the other. This is probably my favorite one of the tour, and this was the first one I was able to pick up. But then when I saw the others, I wanted to hunt them all down and just have the complete set. The next thing that I would consider one of my favorites that I'm super, super excited to show you all is this right here, which is actually a fragrance. But instead of picking up this fragrance, this is a fragrance that I actually made. Over the last 2 years, I have been collaborating with a perfumer called Fractal Fragrances, and we've been developing a fragrance to go along with all the clothes from my brand. For me, it was super important early on to create more than just clothes with my brand. I think the overall vision is that it's a lifestyle brand. And so Black Lodge as a fragrance has been in development for a long time. Hopefully it'll be out very, very soon. But this fragrance was really inspired by my time up here in the Pacific Northwest. I currently live in Seattle at this exact moment, and this has sort of been my love letter to the area. The name Black Lodge is of course a homage to the Black Lodge from Twin Peaks, which is a show that takes place in this area. The name also represents how the fragrance smells, with the leading notes being black pepper and velvetier, but then the middle notes being cedarwood, salt, dried tobacco, orange leaf, and then the base notes being sandalwood and ambergris. So it's sort of this combination of this very aromatic, peppery smelling fragrance with all of these woodsy notes. So the name Black Lodge is sort of an homage to that black pepper and then these lodge woodsy notes. It's a really amazing fragrance. I'm super proud. It took us so long to get it just right. But I think if you guys try this out, you will be super, super happy with it. Wanted for it is that it would be long lasting and it would have a really good sillage. And I think we've really accomplished that. All of the feedback I've gotten, and from wearing it for almost a year now, is that it lasts a long time and smells really good. I was just letting some friends wear it at a party, and like random people were coming up to them being like, what is your fragrance that smells so good? So really, really proud of this one. Go check it out. Check out my Instagram for updates on when exactly it will launch. But yeah, this has been a super, super cool project to do, and I'm super happy to finally release it. With that being said, let's get into some books that I've been reading recently. The first book I want to talk about is Post-Europe by Jung. If you don't know who Jung is, he's a modern philosopher who studied under Bernard Stiegler, concerned with the Anthropocene, or sort of how will humanity go forward in the current economic, sociological, and environmental conditions. But this book by Jung is really sort of in that same realm, as it's around philosophy of understanding how will humanity go forward. And Post-Europe is all about understanding how philosophy or thought will thrive in a world that is more dominated by the United States and China. While Europe is obviously still doing okay, its influence over the world is dwindling, and Jung sort of like goes about it understanding that philosophy for hundreds and hundreds of years has been from the European tradition. And now as Europe sort of dwindles, Chinese thought and American philosophy will sort of have to conform to each other and adapt philosophy as a whole. He's super influenced by Heidegger, which I find super interesting in this book. And he makes a really cool distinction understanding that Chinese philosophy in the past has more been what he refers to as Chinese thought. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just how different it is from the European school of philosophy. It's a super interesting book if you're interested in considering what the world will look like as far as philosophy in a world that is continually becoming more and more dominated by China and the United States. The book is sort of continuing in that sort of tradition of philosophy that's sort of questioning where are we going, and it's called Choreomata. This is a collection of essays that have all been sort of commissioned and gathered by Marek and Alonso Trillio. They have gathered basically the lead thinkers in art, philosophy, cybernetics, and technology to sort of start thinking about how AI will impact art. While there's a lot you can sort of talk about with AI and art, oftentimes I find that it's either very doomer or very weird. What they've done instead is try to gather a very rational and moderate and realistic understanding of how AI will actually affect art. Not to say that everything in this book is good, but for a lot of like the discourse on AI, which is overall negative and sort of anti-human, this collection of essays is a lot more hopeful rather than doomer. The last book, which I've been really nerding out about, is this book called The Grail Legend. It's by Emma Jung, actually, who is the daughter of Carl Jung. And what makes this book so special is that it's Carl Jung's daughter. Carl Jung, of course, is the psychological archetypes. He sort of understood human myth and the collective unconscious, among many other things. And what makes this book so cool is that it actually takes the Grail legend, which is also often called Parzival, and analyzes it under Jungian psychology and Jungian archetypes. The Grail legend, of course, being sort of the quest for the Holy Grail, the cup that Christ used at the Last Supper, which then caught his blood, and sort of the quest of the knights to find that. If you've ever seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, it's related to that. But this is really cool because it's Carl Jung's daughter taking Jungian psychology and applying it to this entire story, which is a little bit different because Jungian psychology up until then had really only been applied to sort of short myths and archetypes. So it's a super cool book. Obviously a little nerdy, kind of gets into the things that I'm really passionate about, being Jungian psychology and sort of like mythic epics like this. But if that at all sounds interesting to you, I would definitely go check this book out. Last but not least, I want to talk about a few movies I've seen recently that I've really enjoyed. The first being Pulse by Kurosawa. And Kurosawa had previously made the movie Cure, which is a serial killer, really creepy movie. And what makes Pulse so cool is that it's a ghost movie about ghosts that are sort of in computers. It's sort of a analysis and metaphorical understanding of how the internet and computerization and cybernetics affect human life wrapped up in sort of a horror ghost story. It's a really, really unique movie. It's very similar to a lot of other Japanese media that sort of came out around Y2K, where it sort of considers the internet and cybernetics in this very gothic, macabre way, similar to Serial Experiments of Lain or Neon Genesis Evangelion, though of course this is a live action movie. The next movie is definitely way less serious and way more silly, but this film is called Rap World by Connor O'Malley. Usually I don't recommend comedy movies because not a lot of them usually hit that hard for me, but this had to be one of the funniest movies of all time. It's about like 5 dudes in Wisconsin, and it's filmed as a found footage movie about these 5 random sort of burnout dudes from Wisconsin in 2008 who are trying to record a rap album in one night. Really stupid at some points, but also really clever in the same way. One of the funniest endings I've ever seen for a movie of all time. And if you just need like a good comedy, I usually recommend a lot of very serious and philosophically heavy stuff. This is a hilarious movie. Definitely go watch it. I want to leave you guys off with a little bit of music, and definitely go check out my Instagram and my website if you're interested in any of my designs. Without further ado, here's some music to close you guys off.
Your heart